Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. Welcome to Strive Edge IS. In this series, we will be dealing with the past 1 to 1.5 years of current affairs, the topics and their background. The series is, providing you with detailed, crisp analysis done by the subject experts that will help you excel in your 2025 prelims. So today is the third lecture of Polity Current Affairs. Yesterday we completed the elections part, and then we started with the constitutional issues and the major parts of the constitution that was in news. So let us pick up right from where we left. The first subtopic for today is rights of detinue in preventive detention. So what is the context of this particular news is that Supreme Court in the Jasila Saji versus Union of India, this particular case has emphasized the constitutional rights of detainees under the Article 22(5) of the Indian Constitution. So here it is important that you understand the nuances of Article 22. So what Article 22 does is it provides protection from and against arrest and detention in certain cases. So this particular case talks about the rights of detainees under the Article 22(5), this particular clause. So what are the highlights of the judgment? The grounds of detention. Authorities must promptly provide the detainee with reasons and all supporting documents related to the detention. Effective representation. Failure to furnish these details denies the detainee's right to defend against the detention order. So the person who is detained, first of all, he has to know the grounds of his detention. Secondly, he has the right for effective representation. If such documents are not provided to him regarding his detention, that is the infringing of his rights. Article 22(5), that particular clause talks about detainees must be informed of the reasons for detention at the earliest, and they should be given an opportunity to contest the detention. So what is this preventive detention? Preventive detention means detention of a person so that he does not create or he does not commit some kind of crime. So before committing of that crime, he is preventively detained. So it is permitted under Article 22(3) of the Indian Constitution for maintaining public order or national security. But preventive detention also has some safeguards to it. What are the safeguards? If the detention is exceeding 3 months, the advisory board should approve it. And the communication of detention grounds are mandatory. Let us now begin to the next subtopic, UAPA prosecution timelines. Supreme Court has ruled that the 14-day timeline for granting sanction for prosecution under the UAPA Act is mandatory. What is meant by that is there is a timeline for prosecution. मतलब to start sanction for prosecution मतलब permission for prosecution. So it is time bound and the time is 14 days. Also, it is mandatory. It is not under discretion. So both the central and the state governments are required to act within this timeline in matters of national security. So earlier, some court had given that it was under the discretion. Under discretion, matlab you can or cannot do. Okay, it is not mandatory. But Supreme Court has said that it is now mandatory. So what are the key provisions of this? Is that UAPA, this particular act, and the new rule which says that seven days for the evidence review plus 7 days for government sanction. So what does this entail? This entails quick delivery of justice. The significance is it ensures timely decisions, preventing delays in prosecuting terrorism related cases, and it reinforces accountability among prosecuting authorities. Okay, so you have to here read about UAPA, NSA, and all those related laws dealing with crimes like terrorism and everything. Okay, or probably you can also get a question about how many days are given for sanction of prosecution, whether it is mandatory or not. So you know that it is mandatory. So this is important from the prelims perspective. Next subtopic is OCI. We did a little thing about OCI yesterday, but we'll just do it again. So OCI was introduced by an amendment to the Citizenship Act 1955, offering lifelong visa privileges. So what is the eligibility for somebody to be an OCI is Indian origin individuals and their descendants, except nationals of Pakistan and Bangladesh. So this is the exception for it. What are the benefits given to OCI? They have equality with NRIs in certain cases like financial, economic, and educational matters, except for agriculture land acquisition. So they cannot buy an agriculture land. And they have an eligibility for Indian citizenship after 5 years as an OCI card holder. But there are some restrictions that they are not allowed to do. So they cannot vote, contest elections, or hold public offices under, all those constitutional posts. And they require special permissions for research, journalism, mountaineering, protected areas. So for you to study is the subtle differences between NRIs and OCIs. Also, Article 11, which basically talks about the citizenship. Who is allowed to make those rules about citizenship? How much power does state have? How much power does the center have? All right, let's move forward. Section A of Citizenship Act. The Supreme Court has upheld the validity of Section 6A of the Citizenship Act 1955, which was introduced via the Citizenship Amendment Act 1985 as a part of the Assam Accord. Can you please mute the person who has joined just now? So what are the provisions under Section 6A? Ramdas, please can you mute? Okay. So what is this provision, guys? It grants citizenship to migrants from East Pakistan, okay, Bangladesh, who arrived in Assam between January 1, 1966 and March 24, 1971 after a 10-year residency period. So what it basically does is, if I have to show you diagrammatically, if suppose a person is from Bangladesh and he wants to be a citizen of India, okay, so before, if he is arrived before 1966, automatically he is a citizen. But this particular date, if he has arrived between Jan 1, 1966 and March 24, 1971, so this chunk, plus that person has stayed in India for 10 years, then he can become a citizen. Okay. Why this particular date is important? Because that was the onset of the war. So the provisions of 6A are, like I said, first one is if a person has arrived before Jan 1, 1966, that person is citizen, automatically becomes a citizen. Second is this. First is this. Second is this. He becomes a citizen when he has arrived between Jan 1, 1966 and March 24, 1971. Plus he has stayed for 10 years. Then he becomes a citizen. And third provision is that if anyone enters after March 24, 1971, that is an illegal migrant. Okay. So what Supreme Court has done is that Supreme Court has said that this is constitutional. It has said that it is valid. Okay, why has the Supreme Court said that it is valid? Because it is because of these reasons. First is the legislative competence. Section 6A falls under Article 246, entry 17 of the Union List. So the center is in well hands to make rules on that. Secondly, Article 14. The unique circumstances of Assam justify this special behavior. Okay, Article 14 talks about equality. Cultural impact. No substantial evidence was found to suggest migrants harmed Assamese cultural rights. So this is an corollary of this. So since we saw that there is no evidence to support that the migrants have harmed Assamese, they are indigenous Assamese. So it is said that everyone is equal. And the reasonable cutoff date, March 24, 1971, aligns with the onset of Bangladesh Liberation War, like I said. So that the date that they have given is also very reasonable. Okay. So for you, what you have to understand over here is the Assam Accord. When was it done? What are its provisions? Okay, it was done in 1985. You can further study about the NRC debate and everything. Okay, let us move on to the next topic. Socialist secular in the preamble. So recently, Dr. Balram Singh versus Union of India, this particular case was filed in Supreme Court. The case was about, the inclusion of the word socialist, secular in the preamble. And the petitioner had argued that the amendments did not reflect people's will and the preamble could not be altered after its adoption in 1949. Okay, so we all know that this particular amendment was the 42nd Amendment, done in 1976. 42nd Amendment is also called as the mini constitution, and it amended the preamble. It added 40 articles. It amended 40 articles, then the seventh schedule, and introduced 14 new articles and two new parts. So that's why, this was very huge. So this particular petitioner had said that this did not reflect people's will and the preamble could not be altered after its adoption. So the Supreme Court instead has dismissed the petition challenging the inclusion. Matlab, the particular petition has been dismissed by Supreme Court. So what is important for us? The 42nd Amendment is important. What all it added is important. Okay, so what were the changes in the preamble done? It added socialist, secular, and integrity. It changed unity of the nation to unity and integrity of the nation. Okay, shifted subjects like education and forest from state to the concurrent list. It also amended the seventh schedule, like already mentioned. It added new DPSPs, Article 39, 39A, 43A, 48A. 39A, securing opportunities for healthy development of children. 39A is equal justice and free legal aid. 43A is participation of workers in industrial management. 48A is environmental protection and wildlife conservation. It also introduced fundamental duties and administrative tribunals. Okay, so this particular part is important. This can be asked in prelims. Okay, so what was the Supreme Court's observation? Supreme Court has said, because what the petitioner said, that the preamble could not be altered, right? So Supreme Court said that preamble can be amended under the Article 368, provided it does not violate the Constitution's basic structure. So you get another important topic of yours is the Keswananda Bharti case and basic structure doctrine. What else did the Supreme Court do? It defined secularism as states' neutrality and equality towards all religion. Described socialism as states' commitment to a welfare system, ensuring equality of opportunity. Emphasized that the Constitution is a living document capable of adapting to societal changes. Okay, so for you, what is important here is, we also had a question about, whether preamble is a part of the Constitution or not, whether preamble can be amended or not. So you have to study the preamble in that aspect. Is a part, can be amended or not. Okay, also you have to study the Keswananda Bharti case, basic structure doctrine. Okay, so what is the significance of secularism and socialism? Secularism in India ensures religious freedom and state intervention in economic and secular aspects of religion. Indian socialism integrates a mixed economy model, balancing welfare with private enterprise and emphasizing equality without eliminating capitalism. So, like we see here, that we have our own brand of, India has an own brand of secularism and socialism. So that is our significance. Okay, for you, what is important for prelims perspective? All of these things that I've mentioned. Also, amendment, that also you have to study amendments under Article Which article? 368. So what comes under Article 368? The majorities. Okay, whether you need consent of state or not. See, when I'm telling you this, make sure that you study this static part from your own notes that you've made. I'm hoping that you guys have made your own notes. If not, suppose you are studying all of these things from Lakshmikant. Okay, so we over here are providing you with the current affairs, but you have to always stick to your static part so that you get the hang of it, so that you revise your part well enough. Okay, let us move on to the next topic. Article 39B and private property. Why is it in news? Because the Supreme Court ruled that Article 39B of the DPSP, which aims to prevent wealth concentration, does not apply to private properties. So what is the exact word of, the wordings of Article 39B is that it directs the state to ensure that ownership and control of material resources are distributed for the common good. Okay, so this is kind of a socialistic view, right? Okay, so that the ownership and the control of material resources are distributed. So historically interpreted to include natural resources like land, minerals, water bodies. So what the Supreme Court has said, that when you talk about these material resources and ownership, it is not the private resources. So you can't say, somebody privately owns a 10 acre land, 10 hectare land, for example. So we can't say that, that according to this particular article, you have to divide this 10 hectare land among everybody, because this is a privately owned land. But at the same time, if there is a water body, if there is a river in a village, so you can't, a person cannot come and claim that, this is my river and I will not allow you to draw water from it or anything like that. It is a natural resource. So this has to be distributed for the common good. So what the Supreme Court has said, that Article 39B does not override fundamental property rights. Private property cannot be forcibly redistributed under the guise of social justice. State-led acquisition must follow due process under the Land Acquisition Act. So basically, this point. Okay, what are the implications of the justice? It reinforces property right as fundamental legal protection. Okay, ensure that economic redistribution follows constitutional guidelines. It may slow down land reforms aimed at reducing wealth disparity. Okay, so these are the implications. What is important for you guys over here is sorry about that. DPSP versus fundamental rights. Their journey. You have a lot of judgments around it. You have Golaknath case, you have the Champakam Doraijan case, then you have the 25th Amendment, all of that. So you have to know the journey of which is, where it stands, DPSP versus fundamental rights. And also you have to read about the Article 31C. Okay, so 31C, basically it provides some kind of immunity to the DPSPs, right? That are 39B and 39C. To read about these two. Okay, let us move forward. Article 329B and Election Commission's powers. So why was it in news? Because the Election Commission cited Article 329B of the Constitution to restrict judicial interference in ongoing elections. So what are these Article 329? So Article 329A, it restricts the judiciary from questioning the constitutionality of laws concerning. So these are basically restrictions on judiciary. Okay. 329A is about, it restricts the judiciary from questioning the constitutionality of laws concerning electoral district boundaries / or seat distribution. Okay. And 329B, what it does is, 329A is this. Okay. 329B, it restricts the judiciary from questioning elections while the election process is going on. Okay. It allows election disputes to be challenged through post-election petitions. So once election, suppose there is some problem that you find, you can challenge it only via post-election petitions. While the election is going, the judiciary cannot intervene in the process. Okay. So what is important here is the NP Ponnuswamy versus returning officer case, wherein the Supreme Court ruled that courts cannot interfere in elections once they are notified. This is an important judgment. So what is the significance of this? It ensures smooth election process without judicial delays, and it may shield election commission decisions from immediate legal scrutiny. Okay, so you could get a question on articles or the power of election commission. Okay, so what is important here? Election laws. Then we have the role of judiciary, restrictions on them. Okay, make sure you read this from your source that you follow. Okay, let us move on to the next topic. Constitution of India and France. So why was it in news? The French president formally accepted the resignation of Prime Minister, who continues as a caretaker until the next government is appointed. So it was their case wherein the French president has accepted the resignation of Prime Minister. So why is it important to us? Because we have to study it in the comparative analysis of India and some other countries. So here it is France. Okay, so we will comparative matlab, we will first do the similarities and then we can do the differences. What are the similarities between the Indian and the French constitution? First of all, both of us, we have republican character. So the France transitioned from monarchy to a republic after the French Revolution. So they are republic, we are also republic. Okay, India was inspired by this revolution, reflected in Tipu Sultan's adoption of French revolutionary ideals. So both of us are republic. Okay, we have elected as the head, we have the elected representatives. Then we have a written constitution. Both countries have written constitution emphasizing liberty, equality, and fraternity, which we have been influenced from the French Revolution. Then we have popular sovereignty. Citizens in both nations enjoy universal adult franchise. Both of us, we have bicameral legislature. In India, we have Lok Sabha, which is the directly elected, and the Raj Sabha, which is indirectly elected. In France, they have National Assembly, which is directly elected, and Senate, which is indirectly elected. So both of us, we have bicameral. Then we have emergency provisions too. Both constitutions allow for declaring a state of emergency under extraordinary circumstances. Okay, so the similarities were, first of all, both of them are republic. Both of us have written constitution. We have popular sovereignty. Then we have bicameral legislature and emergency provisions. So what are the contrasting features of Indian and the French constitution? About the popular sovereignty, we exercise our right via elected representatives, and they have through representatives and referendums. Okay, referendums are wherein the people directly take part in issues. Okay, what we have elected. We only take part in the election process. So we elect our representatives and then they decide on the laws and policies and everything. But France has referendums wherein the people also can take direct part in deciding the laws and policies. Presidency. We have indirectly elected president with no term limits. Okay, they have a directly elected president with a maximum of 2 consecutive terms. System of government. We have a parliamentary system with a federal structure. They have a semi-presidential system where the president holds significant power. In our, the president is the de jure head, right? He doesn't hold a very significant power. He's just the namesake. The prime minister's role in our case is that he's the head of the government. He leads the council of ministers. In the France case, it is the prime minister is appointed by the president. Role and responsibilities are varied on the president's discretion. Okay, so here the president is more important than the PM. In judiciary, we have integrated judicial system. Supreme Court decisions are binding on lower courts, right? But in their case, they have separate legal and administrative courts, limiting the Supreme Court's authority. Civil society participation, we don't have any such explicit provision wherein civil societies have to take part. We don't have such things. But here they have an economic, social, and environmental council, CESE, to involve civil society in policy making. So this is something that India also can learn, to have that stakeholder approach. We can also do this. So this is good for your mains. Okay, you can quote this example. So you could have question on this. What is the key difference between Indian and French constitution? So you could have lot of statements, all of that. Okay, so what is important here for your further study is the powers of president and PM. Okay, I'm talking about India, our case. Plus you also study about the comparison of governance models. Okay, we can expect a question from this in terms of what are the different governance models. We have parliamentary, which is our case. Then we have the presidential, and the France case was semi-presidential. Okay, you understand these main features in contrast, so that will help you in your preparation. Okay, let us start with the next topic now. So we have finished the constitution and its issues. Our next topic for today is center and state relations. First, we will deal with the 6th schedule. So why was the 6th schedule in news? It was because the people of Ladakh are protesting for Ladakh to be recognized as a tribal area under the 6th schedule. So why were the people protesting? Because 6th schedule has certain perks. Okay, certain it has certain special treatment. So what is that special treatment? The 6th schedule of the constitution under Article 244(2) and Article 275(1) of the constitution is provided for the administration of tribal areas in Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura, and Mizoram. You can remember this as ATMM as the sixth schedule. Okay, why these states? Because they share an international boundary. So, what are the provisions under the sixth schedule? It empowers the governor to create autonomous district councils, okay, ADCs, and autonomous regional councils, ARCs, in these four states. So, what are ADCs? ADCs are, they consist of not more than 30 members, out of which four are nominated by the governor and the rest of them are elected. Exception is the Bodoland Territorial Council. It has up to 46 members. Okay, so these are self-governing bodies. Okay, so ADC may we have all the four states have these ADCs. And ARCs, what is the significance of ARC is that if there are different scheduled tribes in an autonomous district, the governor may divide the area or areas inhabited by them into autonomous regions. So ADC, suppose this part is ADC, and suppose this much area is ADC in let's assume that in Meghalaya. Okay, Meghalaya mein this is the ADC. And now we see that in ADC, this particular part has a different tribe. This has a different tribe. So what the governor does, this part ke liye, it will make a different ARC. Okay, understood? I hope that you understood. Okay, so what is important over here, guys, is, UPSC tends to ask you questions in terms of fifth and sixth schedule. Okay, there are differences, or governor's power with respect to this. Okay, tribes autonomy. So that's why this is important for the prelims perspective. Okay, we will understand via this the fifth and the sixth schedule, how it is differentiating. So applicability, where does the fifth schedule apply? It applies to certain tribal areas in any states of India, currently in 10 states. And it where does the sixth schedule applies? It applies to the four northeastern states of India. Okay, to the tribal areas of the four northeastern states, and this is 10 states. How is the administration over here? They have tribes advisory councils, and here they have the ADC and ARC. Okay, administrative power. So the TAC, being the creation of the Legislative Assembly of the state, has limited power. Okay, and here they have derived from the constitution. So here the power is derived from the constitution, Legislative Assembly. So the power is limited, but here it is derived from the constitution itself. So they have extensive power. Okay, so what does the fifth schedule emphasize more on? It emphasizes more on protection of tribal rights, and the sixth schedule emphasizes more on self-governance. That's why we see that Ladakh people are also fighting for this, because they need a little bit of self-governance. And the PESA Act, okay, whether it is applicable in the fifth schedule, yes, but it is not applicable in the sixth schedule. Okay, so you have to also understand which provisions are applicable / not applicable under sixth schedule. Okay, so certain acts of the parliament or the state legislature, they do not apply to the ADCs and ARCs. Okay, and what kind of power they have? They have executive, legislative, judicial powers. Okay, so they have extensive powers. So this forms a very important topic of your prelims preparation. So give a more thought on governor's power over the tribal councils in the fifth schedule. Okay, then we saw the key differences. That then also do a study about the constitutional provisions for tribes. What all does the constitution provide for tribes? Okay, let us move on to the next subtopic. Fiscal federalism. So what is meant by fiscal federalism? Fiscal federalism is a distribution of taxation and spending powers across levels of government. So basically, fiscal federalism is the division of financial powers and responsibilities, okay, in simple words, between central and state governments. Okay, just that. The fiscal federalism is often associated with three broad principles: fiscal equivalency, decentralization theorem, and principle of subsidiarity. Fiscal equivalency is it requires a separate jurisdiction for each public service, which should, this is a little complex. So we will try to make it a little less complex and study. Okay. So what does this first thing tell us is fiscal equivalency. So who should pay for a service? Okay. Let us understand this via an example. Suppose you live in city A. Okay. You live in city A, and city A has built a public park. Okay. And I live in, suppose me, okay, Samruddhi, Sam lives in city B. Okay. So should I pay taxes for you for the public park? No. Okay. So you guys enjoyed. People who live in the city A are enjoying the public park, so they pay the taxes. Not people who live in city B or city C. Okay. We don't have to pay the taxes. So it shows a fiscal equivalency. Okay. So who should pay for a service? People who enjoy the service should pay for that service. Okay. It is that simple. I'll just write it over here so that you remember. People who enjoy a service should pay. Okay. The next thing was decentralization theorem. So what was this? Okay, what do you understand by decentralization? Basically, the smallest unit. Okay, the smallest unit should provide a public service. Okay, so the state government. Let us take an example of a state government. A state government can control all schools, but a local government, okay, for example, the municipality, urban local body, understands the local needs better. So it is better to let the local government run schools instead of the central government. So basically, what is this? Smallest possible government unit should provide a public service. Okay, because they are more closer to the people, they understand their needs better. Then we have the principle of subsidiarity. What is meant by that? Again, it is kind of the same thing, but who should handle what? Suppose you have waste collection. Okay, suppose we are talking about waste collection. Who should handle the waste collection? Should the central government come and handle waste collection? No, it is not possible. Municipality can handle it better. At the same time, if we talk about the railway network, railways, can municipality handle railways? No, because they have a huge grid, right, all over the country. So it is better that the center handles it. Okay, so you should also understand who does what. So we understand the basic fiscal federalism principles. Okay, then we will further deal with what are the constitutional provisions defining India's fiscal federalism arrangement. First of all, we have the seventh schedule, very important. Okay, this schedule, the constitutional delineates tax basis between the union and the states, listing them in the union list and the state list respectively. Article 246. Then we have the distribution of revenue. So we have a classification of tax revenues based, between the union and the states based on these particular ideas. First of all, tax levied and collected by the center but wholly assigned to the state, Article 269. Then levy and collection of goods and service tax in course of interstate trade or commerce, which is the Article 269A, which is distributed between the center and the states on recommendations of the GST councils. Okay, then we have the tax levied and collected by the union and distributed between the union and states, Article 270, on the recommendation of the Finance Commission. Okay, first of all, the tax levied and collected entirely by the state and they are wholly assigned to the state. Okay, then second comes wherein the GST council comes in picture, and GST council tells how much should be given to the states. Third is when the Finance Commission comes in picture, and the Finance Commission gives recommendation of how much to be given to the states. So this is the distribution of revenue. Then we have grants in aid. Center provides grants in aid to states as per Article 275. Then we have borrowings. As per Article 292, the union government has the powers to borrow money either within or outside the country. While Article 293, a state government can borrow within India and not abroad. So this is also very important. Okay, the center can borrow within the country or outside the country, but the state has to borrow within India only. Also, if a state is indebted to the union, it may not resort further to borrowing without the prior consent of the union government. So this was a question asked in prelims. Okay, that's why this is important. Then where else do we see the manifestation of fiscal federalism is in the Finance Commission. Article 280 provides for Finance Commission constituted by the President after every 5 years to adjudicate sharing of resources between the union and states. Okay. So you could probably get a question, which article governs GST revenue sharing between center and state. Options could be A, Article 280, B, Article 269A, C is Article 270, and D is Article 275. So the correct answer is 269A. See, when we study about this, it becomes very easy. But if you just see this kind of question in the exam, it might look very difficult, right? We saw that 280 is Finance Commission. Okay, 269 is that GST. Okay, then what else? 270 is when the Finance Commission comes in picture and it tells how the tax levied and collected by the union should be distributed between the union and the states. Okay, then we had the article 275, wherein the state provides grant in aids to the states. Sorry, the center provides grant in aid to the state. So now you know the dear, can you please mute your mic? Or
Yes,
do you
ma'am.
have a doubt?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So what is important here? Finance Commission is important here. Then what else? 7th schedule. Okay. There are articles which we have discussed now. Okay. All these things form very important part of your prelims prep. Okay. Let us move on to the
Okay.
next topic. Demand for new states. So what is the procedure for formation of new states is that, okay, first of all, why was this in news? Because there is a lot of demand for new states like Vidarbha in Maharashtra, then Bundelkhand in UP/MP, that area, then the Gorkha land in West Bengal. Okay, so which article governs the formation of new states? Article 3,
Thank you.
provisions for formation of new states and alteration of areas, boundaries, or names of existing states. So as per this, who has the power? The parliament may by law form a new state. Okay, so parliament is important here. By separating territory from any state, uniting two or more states, uniting parts of states, and uniting any territory to a part of any state. So who has the power? Basically the parliament. Parliament can also create a new state through a ordinary legislation. What do you mean by that? Via simple majority. Plus, what is needed? Presidential recommendation. So any such bill which is introduced in either house, okay, you can introduce it either in the Lok Sabha or in the Raj Sabha. But what is necessary? President's recommendation is necessary. Okay, there is also a consultation with the state legislature. So before recommending the bill which affects the area, okay, that particular state will also be asked about it. Okay, and they are given certain stipulated time. They have a specific time under which they have to give their opinion, but that particular opinion is again not binding on the president. He can still agree to that or not agree to that, and they can still carry forward with their decision. Okay, so what are the factors that demand for new states in the post-independent India? Is that we have linguistic diversity. Okay, so language has been one of the driving demand for creation of new states. Then we have regional disparities. Like one part of the same state is doing extremely well while the other part suffers. Then we have cultural identity. So various ethnic groups also, they try to ask for different statehood, something that resembles with their ethnic identity. Then we have administrative efficiency. Smaller states are perceived to be to enhance governance and administrative efficiency. Okay, so what are the judicial pronouncements related to organization of states? First of all, we have the Berubari Union case, wherein the Supreme Court held that the power of Parliament to diminish the area of state under Article 3 does not cover cession or cessation, matlab, separating of the Indian territory to a foreign country. So Indian territory can be ceded to a foreign country only by amending the constitution under Article 368. So what we see here, okay, under Article 3, that is not an amendment under Article 368. So this is very important. In India, if you want to alter anything, you can do it via a simple majority. But if suppose you want an Indian territory, you want to give to some foreign country, for that you need constitution amendment under Article 368. Okay. Then the State Reorganization Commission and committees, these are also important, like the SK Dhar Commission, which recommended reorganization on basis of administrative convenience rather than linguistic factors. Then we have the JPV committee, which rejected language as the basis of reorganization of states. Fazal Ali Commission, which identified 4 factors for state organization. Okay, first one is preservation and strengthening of unity and security of country, linguistic and cultural homogeneity, financial and economic administrative considerations, planning and promotion of welfare of people and the nation as a whole. Then the Ali Commission recommended for formation of 14 states and 6 UTs. Okay, so all these committees and their recommendations are important. Also, you have to, we see the questions like, formation of states and the chronology, which state was formed when. Okay, so this is also important. Then also you can give a little bit of study for the history of state creations. Okay, you could get a question like, what is the which of the following is true about formation of new states? Okay, if you want to form a new state, suppose A, state legislature assembly must approve. Okay, their approval is mandatory. Secondly, president only can, is the has power. Okay, let's C is parliament has power. Okay, via simple majority. And D is states need referendum before division. So which of this is correct? Parliament has power via, yes, C. Parliament has power via simple majority. Okay, so you also understand the nuances, right? What is a simple majority? What is a special majority? What can be considered as a simple legislation? All of those things. Okay, so these things form your important part of the prelims preparation. Okay, we'll just finish this last part. Interstate Council reconstituted. So the Interstate Council under the Article 263 of the Constitution was reconstituted to strengthen coordination, cooperation between the center and states. So what is the importance of the Interstate Council? First of all, it is chaired by the Prime Minister. The members include all chief ministers, administrators of union territories, and 6 cabinet ministers nominated by the PM. Why is it significant? Because it acts as a platform to discuss contentious issues and improve center state coordinations. Okay, so because UPSC asks about the center state relations, right? Center and state relations, plus federalism. Okay, these are all favorite topics. Okay, so that's why it is important. You have to here be attentive to the article. Okay, what I suggest for further studies is ISC's functions. Okay, also the Sarkaria report plus the Panchi report. These reports basically are on the center state relations, right? So these also form the important parts of your prelims preparation. Okay, so with this we have finished the center state relations. Tomorrow, in tomorrow's class, we will begin with important bills and acts which were in news. and some other topic if time permits. Okay. So
Ma'am.
yes.
Rajmunar Commission.
Huh?
Rajmunar Commission.
Yes, Rajmanar Commission. That is also very important. Okay. So if you have notes with you, do refer your notes. I would seriously suggest you guys, to go back to your notes and revise from your notes itself. This will act as a value addition material for you. Okay. If you revise from your notes, see, your brain remembers. Sometimes you remember seeing something on a particular page. Yes, if you see it over and over again, your brain has that photographic image of that particular page. So I suggest that you revise from your particular source that you have. Okay. So thank you everyone for watching this video. And if you're liking this initiative, please like this video, subscribe to our channel. You can also share this videos with your friends who are preparing for UPSC prelims. And the PDF for this particular magazine will be there in our Telegram channel. So follow our channel. The link will be provided below. Thank you, everyone. I'll meet you tomorrow.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, thank you so much.
Okay,
Bye.
ma'am. Thank you.
Yes.